Hello, everybody. It's me, Ross, and welcome back to another edition of Meet the Opposition. This week, I'm joined by Tom Sandells, the man from the Blackpool Gazette, covering all things Fleetwood Town, ahead of the Blues clash with them at Portman Road in League One. Tom, welcome to the show. And how would you assess Fleetwood's start to the season? 20th in the league. But then there's been some decent results here. The one standout is the win against Rotherham, 4-2 at the New York Stadium. But how would you assess the season?
Yeah, I mean, overall, I suppose any team that's down there, you'd have to say it's been a disappointing start to the season. I don't think it probably tells the whole story. You know, Fleetwood, I mean, even if you look at the goal difference of Fleetwood compared to the others around them, I know goal difference doesn't equate to points, but it shows that they're in games. It shows that, you know, that they're not exactly getting blown away. I think the only ones with like a positive goal difference down there, they've had, you know, the draws against Sunderland and Plymouth and teams like that are right up there. So they've had some good results in there, probably just not quite getting over the line. But I suppose that's what's to be expected. They're not probably a top side in the division this season. When things don't go your way, you know, you can end up down that bottom end. But I think there's definitely more to come from them.
Definitely. And of course, you know, Fleetwood, no offence, they're a small side. That I'm sure there won't be many away fans going down to Ipswich because it is a long way, a long track. But let's talk about the game itself. What sort of game can we expect? And of course, it's the Wes Burns derby, of course, facing his former side. And the last time he played Fleetwood, he scored against Ipswich in that 3-1 defeat on the final day. But what sort of game shall we expect?
I mean, Fleetwood kind of set out to win the game first and foremost, and if not, they set out to not lose. So it's one of those, it may be a little bit pragmatic at times. They're not afraid to go a bit more direct, but they're also not opposed to playing out from the back and doing things what you perceive as the right way. And probably the right way is the way that wins games, I suppose, especially at this level. The key is just getting out of the division. But yeah, they'll mix it up. They've got good players. It's generally quite a young team, especially at the moment. There's a few injuries to the more senior players. But yeah, they can surprise a few. They've got a big result in them, as they've shown, like you mentioned before, with Rotherham. So they have the potential to mix it up and surprise a few. I mean, I remember Wes Burns was electric against Ipswich last time. He was brilliant for Ipswich and was kind of peaking almost. He was starting to get goals. It's probably the only criticism of Wes is didn't quite get enough goals, and he started to get a few goals towards the end of last season. So it'll be interesting to see how he does. And I mean, no matter what, whoever you're against, it's very difficult to defend against genuine pace, and that's what he's got.
And bear with us, everybody. My laptop is deciding to attack. No, it stopped. It's fine. Let's talk about the Fleetwood side, the 11, how you guys set up. Of course, you've got a few other. Joe Garner is a former Town player as well. He'd be another talking point. But is he starting that much? And I'm going to put the 11 that played on Tuesday night and the 1-0 defeat against Burton. But can you pick out any of the players there? And 3-5-2 is the formation. I don't really like that formation myself. But what do you reckon?
Yeah, Jed Garner's kind of the main focal point this season. A young player who was kind of the only surviving forward from last season. Joe Garner came in having not had a pre-season and things like that, maybe a little bit of a knock. So he's had to kind of do his own pre-season and get himself back up to speed. So that's kind of why he's not been as involved. You see, obviously, with Garner and Edmondson, who's on loan from Leeds, a young player, you got a lot of energy up there, which is kind of what's needed. I mean, my picks out of this Fleetwood side, certainly ones to watch, are James Hill and Jamie Tetty. I think they're both absolutely fantastic players. Young players that have come through the academy. James Hill recently played for the England under-20s, and Jamie Tetty, product. Sorry, excuse my dog. Product of the Fleetwood Academy as well. And you know, Jamie Tetty at times looks like he's just playing a different game. The time he's graceful, he glides. And James Hill, for how young he is, he's got such a wise head on his shoulders. So those are the ones to look out for. Whether they're the match winners or not it is a different thing entirely. But yeah, they've certainly got quality in there.
And let's talk about the big question. You know, the prediction wise, you know, we scored 4 on Tuesday night, but you said the goal difference wise is good for Fleetwood. You know, don't concede many. If you do, then you're scoring a lot as well. So what do you reckon then? You know, this will be a tough game for Fleetwood, but can they nick something, or would they be happy with a draw, or would they just be happy with a nice 2-1 defeat? It's not a nice 2-1 defeat, but they'll be happy they don't go home getting basically thrashed.
No, I don't think they go into the game with that mindset. I don't think they'll certainly go into it hoping to win, and they certainly can. I mean, I think discounting anyone in League One's a dangerous thing to do. I think they'd be happy enough with a draw. I think with most teams, especially at this level, I'd say anywhere below the Premier League where it is an absolute minefield, an away point is always a good point, really. So I don't think they'd mind too much at that. They've certainly got it in them to win. Whether it's something like a moment of magic, Danny Andrews has scored 4 free kicks already this season. He's been absolutely spectacular with them. So it could be something like that. I think, obviously Fleetwood coming into it probably at the wrong time with the way Ipswich won last time out. But it's one of those, I think, it's a bit of a cliche, but it's 90 minutes of football, and especially in League One, you just cannot predict it. Ipswich are going to go in as favourites. They've got this impressive squad and they've invested. They've got a manager that's been there and done it. So it'd be interesting to see how it goes, but I wouldn't discount Fleetwood entirely, that's for sure.
Yeah, I still have nightmares from the 1-0 defeat against Fleetwood before COVID hit, and that was not a nice evening at Portman Road. A lot of abuse, a lot of people saying that was one of their worst games I've ever seen Town play against. Of course, we've got 2 new managers here. What's Simon Grayson saying going into this one? I know you speak to him in the press conference. How's he feeling going into this one?
He's okay. He's generally quite positive. Obviously, they want to be doing better, but the kind of false league position is probably the wrong way to put it, because you're there, your results determine that, but they definitely think there is more to come from them. They definitely think that they can be better. They are a little bit unfortunate at the moment due to injuries. The more senior players that have been struggling, even more experienced younger players. Harrison Holgate, for example, was a mainstay last season. He's out injured at the moment. Tom Clark's a little bit touch and go. Captain Jordan Rossiter in midfield probably won't be available. So it does kind of add up. So it's one of those, it's not that there's an asterisk over what's going on, and they did have a tough start to the season, but as I said earlier, there is more to come from them. And with Simon Grayson, he's not the type to kind of panic. He's quite unflappable in that regard. And that's why they like him a lot at the club, is that he calmed things down a lot after obviously Joey Barton left, and because he was rather box office, I suppose.
Well, Tom, it's been a pleasure having you on Meet the Opposition. Anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up?
No, I'm just looking forward to it. I'd be interested to see how it all goes. Unfortunately, I won't be able to be there on the day, but you look at the Ipswich squad and it's such an exciting squad that they've put together. Interested to see how Wes Burns does there, because I was half expecting him to end up at a championship club when he left Fleetwood. So it'd be interesting to see if he can kind of push on even at League One level and do the business there. But yeah, I'll just hope for a decent game.
Definitely. And as you mentioned, it's a Lancashire derby happening that weekend as well, Blackpool and Preston. So that'll be, of course, the big talking point in Lancashire. But good old Fleetwood. We'll see how we get on. Let us know in the comments down below your thoughts, your predictions going into this game. And we'll see you at Portman Road. Bye-bye for now.